I call this meeting of the Northeast Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. The board will now adjourn into executive session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Texas Government Code, Chapter 551.074, to discuss personnel or to hear complaints against personnel, and Section 551.076, the detection security audit. And the time is 5:30. board will now reconvene into open session, and the time is 6:19. On behalf of the trustees, I would like to welcome you to this evening's meeting of the Northeast Independent School Board. This is a business meeting of the board held in public. We appreciate your attendance and request your respectful attention. We welcome your comments during the Matters from the Floor section of the agenda. If you signed up to address a specific action agenda item, you will be called at that time. We wish to emphasize that this is a business meeting of the board, and while those in attendance may disagree about issues, it is our expectation that everyone will conduct themselves in a respectful and professional manner. Disruptions to this meeting by anyone will not be tolerated. In the event any person or group disrupts the meeting, a warning will be given to stop any disruptive behavior. Anyone persisting in disruptive behavior will be removed from the meeting. The board may also call a recess in the event of persistent disruptions so that individuals who engage in disruptions can be removed. It is our intent to conduct the meeting in an orderly fashion. Finally, I would like to remind you that it is the mission of Northeast to challenge and encourage each student to achieve and demonstrate academic excellence, technical skills, and responsible citizenship. Item 5, Invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. A, Harris Middle School. Ms. Niehoff, Principal.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Micah, executive staff, and guests. It is my pleasure to introduce two outstanding students from Harris Middle School who will lead us in tonight's invocation and pledge to our nation's flag and the flag of Texas. Leading us in the invocation is Joshua Nahara. Joshua is an 8th grade honors student at Harris Middle School. He is a valued member of Harris Middle School drama, choir, and art departments. Joshua has participated in several of Harris's theater productions and speech festivals over the years, and he even had a solo in last week's holiday choir concert. Joshua is joined this evening by his parents, Milena and Fernando Nahara, and his sister, Abril. Leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance and Texas Pledge is Ava Chim. Ava is a 7th grade honors student at Harris Middle School. She is a valued member of Harris's choir and athletics departments. She was also one of the first students to sign up for our new dance class this year. Ava was also a member of our volleyball team. Ava is joined this evening by her parents, Kathy Rogers Chim and Kenny Chim, and sister Juliana.
That's so cute.
And now I will turn the microphone over to these two amazing students.
In the past 3 years, the pandemic has affected all of our lives. Whether it is physically or emotionally, we were able to get through these severe tough times. A huge acknowledgement I would love to give admiration to is the dedication and perseverance this education system gives to the many children who need it the most. I also believe that the many people who were able to control and keep this education administration stabilized deserve all the praise in this country for their ability to achieve this goal of success and fulfillment. Finally, I would also want to mention that it's an honor to be chosen to represent not only me, but my entire school. I give huge thanks to the principals, teachers, and staff for the memories and learning that will stay with me till the end of time. I'm sincerely and always will be thankful for the recognition y'all gave me. Thank you, Ms. Niehoff and Harris Middle School for having me be part of this wonderful meeting. Sincerely, your student, Joshua Nahara.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Joshua and Ava, if you would please come forward. We have a certificate for you, and we'd like to take a picture of you with Dr. Micah and Ms. Landry. Oh yeah, Ms. Niehoff, you too. Sorry. We'll have to ask. Thank you so much for being here. Great job. You're welcome to stay, but you're also welcome to leave because it sounds like these amazing students are very involved in activities and they probably have finals this week. Yes, so good luck on your finals. Thank you all for being here. Item 6, recognition. A, President's remarks on acknowledgement of special calendar events. January 9th, I believe, is Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, and we wanted to say that since our board meeting in January will be after that. So thank you to all of them, the law enforcement, for everything they do.
May I add something there?
Yes.
Because I thought it was kind of weird by you saying it, but I just want to let everyone know that January is also Board Appreciation Month. And so, we will recognize you all in January. I'm not going to bring a resolution, but instead we will just recognize you. But I wanted to make sure our community and our staff knows that that's also something that's coming up in January.
Okay, thank you. Item 7, matters from the floor, but I have a question first. Mr. Cummins, are you wanting to speak to matters from the floor or the specific agenda item? Matters from the floor. Okay, let me read my little speech, please. Sorry. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify. The trustees welcome comments from members of the public during this time of the meeting. Generally, board members do not respond to public comments during the meeting, although members may request further information or a future agenda item on a matter raised during public comment. As explained fully in the board's written procedures for this time, the matters from the floor portion is a limited public forum. Accordingly, speakers may present on a topic related to district business for up to 3 minutes, but are not permitted to make 1, personal complaints about an individual staff or board member that should be raised using the district's grievance policies, 2, a personnel action, 3, a student disciplinary matter, 4, a complaint about a particular student, 5, or pending litigation. Any person who persists in speaking on these topics after being directed not to do so will lose the remainder of their time to speak and may lose their privilege of addressing the board at future meetings. If you signed up to speak on a specific agenda item, you will be called up when the board reaches that item. Please remember that this is a business meeting of the board. Any person or group engaging in outbursts of any kind causing a disruption to the meeting will be warned, and if they persist, will be removed from the meeting. This is to ensure that all speakers have an opportunity to make comments without interruption and that the board members are able to pay full attention to speakers without any distractions. We also welcome written comments at any time, either through email at board@neisd.net or by mail care of the superintendent's office at 8961 Tesoro Drive, 6th floor, San Antonio, Texas 78217. Ms. Huey.
Number 1.
I've got to time myself because I'm in a race, I think. President Grona, members of the board, Dr. Micah, I'm Tom Cummins representing Northeast AFT. Our president, Patsy Esterline, cannot be here, so I'm speaking in her place. Challenges in the district continue with teacher and support personnel shortages caused by stress, poor work-life balance of employees, and teachers and paraprofessionals having added work because of teacher vacancies. A regular item on your agenda is a complaint to SBC regarding teacher job abandonment. That speaks volumes. There was a time when a teacher did not want to teach, when a teacher did not want to teach in Northeast, that teacher would be released without any complaint. Under these conditions, that should continue. A primary cause of the current stress is the underfunding of NEISD by the state. Since 2019-2020 school year, the basic allotment has been frozen at $6,160. If adjusted for inflation, today it would be $7,075, or $950 more per student. That would mean approximately $55 million more for NEISD's budget. Pay could be raised to attract and keep teachers, hire more personnel to relieve the work assignment of many, to reduce the stress load, and to provide the services many students are missing. The Texas legislature meets in January, an opportunity to secure the necessary funding. The Texas budget surplus is $27 billion, and there's another $13 billion in the rainy day fund. The money should be used to increase the basic allotment to $7,075 or more. For the future, House Bill 882 by Donna Howard of Austin would tie the basic allotment to the CPI, Consumer Price Index, providing districts with greater funding security. Since increasing the basic allotment reduces recapture, NEISD has another reason to support it. AFT encourages each board member to reach out to parents and taxpayers in your single-member districts and mobilize them to support needed funding for NEISD. At a previous school board meeting, we also asked you to review campus requirements on written reports. A reduction would begin reducing undue stresses on teachers. Also, filling teacher and teaching assistant vacancies is an immediate need. If that means increasing pay now, you should act. As trustees, we hope you will bring that message to your single-member districts. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year.
Thank you.
And that's all.
Okay, thank you. Item 8, matters from executive session. A, personnel including but not limited to administrative appointments pursuant to Government Code Section 551.074. 1, possible action regarding routine personnel including but not limited to administrative appointments. A, Executive Director of Pupil Personnel. Do I have a motion to approve as discussed in executive session?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Byer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Villarreal. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item B, Principal of Canyon Ridge Elementary School. Do I have a motion to approve as discussed in executive session?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hilliard. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Landry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item C, the Principal of Castle Hills Elementary School. Do I have a motion to approve as discussed in executive session?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Villarreal. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hilliard. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item D, Principal of Clear Spring Elementary. Do I have a motion to approve as discussed in executive session?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Byer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Landry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item E, Principal of Coker Elementary School. Do I have a motion to approve as discussed in executive session?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Villarreal. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Byer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item 2, possible action to submit complaint to SBAC for job abandonment by Chapter 21 contract employee. Do I have a motion to approve as discussed in executive session?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Villarreal. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Byer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item 9, presentations. A, Northeast Educational Foundation Annual Report to the Board of Trustees for the July 20 to June 21 fiscal year. Dr. Micah.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I would like to ask our Executive Director to come to the podium, and Miss Lilia, who is going to join, but understand your voice is not as great as you hoped it would, but from our NEAF board. Go ahead, Catherine.
Thank you so much. So good evening, Madam President, Dr. Micah, Board of Trustees, and guests. I am the new Executive Director for the Northeast Educational Foundation, also known as NEAF. And I cannot tell you how excited I am to be able to give back to our district. Being a proud graduate of NEISD, Churchill, this is an honor for me to hold this position. So tonight, again, I'm accompanied by our Vice Chairwoman, Ms. Lilia Gibson. Our board chair, Ms. Cynthia Hernandez, sends her regards as she is not able to attend tonight's presentation. So the purpose of our presentation is to highlight our accomplishments we've made during the fiscal year of 2021-2022. A copy of our annual report has been provided to you in your folders. If you have any questions, I'm happy to address them at the end of this presentation. I also want to thank our board of directors for their service and the time that they dedicate to NEAF. I am fortunate to have a wonderful team who values our missions and works hard every day to make things happen. I also want to, quote unquote, shine the light on our very energetic mascot, Sparky. And I happen to know of one very energetic NEISD trustee who shares that energy with Sparky as well. It's on social media if you want to know. Okay, so thank you to our sponsors, community, and volunteers who share our philanthropic passion for furthering education and has helped us in accomplishing our mission. And I would like to bring forward our 2022-23 Vice Chairwoman, Lilia Gibson, to say a few words.
Hello, good evening. I usually don't sound this cool, but I'm recovering from laryngitis, and my husband was happy last week. There was a lot of jazz hands and pointing and not a whole lot of talking. But I have had the privilege to represent Northeast ISD as one of your delinquent tax attorneys for several years. But most recently, I've joined the board, and as the vice chair, I'm actually got some duties related to development. And one of the things that I really wanted to take a moment is just to thank you, number one, for supporting the foundation. And I don't know that you realize that the foundation is a way for someone like me who doesn't have children in the district to participate as a community member and give back and learn about your district. Because I truly believe all of us that are here, if you think for a moment, all that had to happen in the world for us to be here in this moment, to be here serving this district and serving these students, we are where we are supposed to be. I truly believe that. And so I want to say thank you to you as board members, as trustees, for your support of the district, but also in having the vision to create this foundation to allow other community members to serve the district as well. I think you're going to be so pleased when you hear some of the numbers. We have been very busy. You've got a lot of committees that do a lot of work through the foundation, and there is just so much that's happening. The students have such a need, the teachers have such a need, and the foundation is a way to incorporate community and business partners into what's happening in your district, because we're all just waiting to help. We're all waiting to be asked. We're all waiting to help. And I think this is a really great way of doing this. And so really my role here is to say thank you. And we've got a great executive director who hit the ground running and is super busy. And I'll let her go ahead and share with you how we did this past year. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Gibson. So our philanthropic mission at NEAF is to help expand educational opportunities for our campuses and students of NEISD. We promote our mission in a variety of avenues, such as our innovative grants and other campaigns such as Big Give, Team NEISD, and Fund a Need. In the 2021-2022 school year, we distributed over $651,000 back to our campuses and NEISD. This was done through general donations, designated giving, innovation grants, Big Give, Team NEISD, new teacher supply grants, Teacher of the Year donations, and again, Fund a Need. At our gala this year, we were able to match Fund a Need for our ICSI campus, providing the program a total of over $162,000 for our future cyber warriors. Additionally, we have invested over $100,000 this year, which 25% of our revenue that we bring in goes towards that permanent investment fund to support long-term growth. One of the ways I mentioned we support our campuses is through our innovation grants. This year we funded 33 grant projects. We awarded 22 elementary school grant projects. These projects help to support our younger minds in areas such as literacy, virtual learning, virtual reality learning, STEAM experiences, and sensory rooms. Our 3 middle school grant projects focused on higher level thinking, communication, and presentation skills, while our 5 high school grant projects included video production, hands-on science learning through agriculture and life skills. The 3 district grant projects focused on health pathways to include EMT simulator that will be installed in the classroom actually over the winter break. So we're excited and look forward to seeing how these projects will help help students in the future. Another example of giving back is our new teacher supply grants, where teachers were given $100 grants to help purchase classroom materials. To spread the word about all the great things that NEAF continues to do, we've increased our social media presence. Our online reach has increased upwards of 158% on Instagram and 228% on our Facebook page. So if you've not seen our Facebook page, I encourage you to sign up and follow us. Each year, NEAF has been fortunate to increase funds for NEISD, and 2021-22 is no exception. Here's a quick snapshot of the past 3 years, and thanks to our sponsors, partners, and community support, we were able to increase how much we've distributed to our district by 86% over the previous year. Our overall investment portfolio saw a downturn this year due to the national economic landscape. Earlier I mentioned innovative grants, where we help support our NEISD teachers and campuses bring creative and innovative resources to our students. Through these grants, we want to show you highlights of some impressive work that our teachers and campuses have done with the grants they've received.
Mental health, is a real problem. I mean, pretty much everyone I know has suffered from mental health issues at some point.
Thank you for taking that journey with us and your teachers. From our board and our team, we want to thank Dr. Micah and all of the NEISD Board of Trustees for your continued support. This support is vital to us in how we assist with your educational needs in the classroom and at the campuses. On a personal note, I would like to thank NEISD trustee Ms. Sandy Huey for your years of service on NEVE prior to my arrival. In your folder is an official invitation to our 2023 Boots, Blings, and Big Dreams Gala, and we are proud to have the Gordon Hartman Family Foundation as our presenting sponsor. We hope that each of you can attend as we celebrate by raising funds for our district, and don't forget that at the end of the evening, we encourage you to also join us in our toast to the teachers. So I now open up the floor for any questions or comments from our Board of Trustees.
Does anyone have questions?
I got a comment and a question, but
Yes, sir.
first off, thank you so much. I was able to go to a couple of the gigs, including the one at Roosevelt, but the excitement on every teacher involved and all the students, it's phenomenal, and that particularly at Roosevelt with the band. So thanks for what y'all do across the district. And I just want to make sure I have this clear in my head. Technically, NEEF is a 5013C, so it's not a part of the district. It's a separate entity, but the district does support with a few positions such as yourself, Mr. Archer, right? There's like 3 positions that we help fund from district funds, but technically NEEF is its own separate entity.
So correct. So
Is that my- I just make
NEEF is the nonprofit fundraising arm for NEISD. However, with the support of the trustees, we are also able to participate with Partners in Education, which is on the NEISD side. And that really goes hand in hand when we talk about partnerships and sponsorships and funding.
Yeah, no, thank you. Just because I know some people don't, it took me a while to figure out exactly where it was. Like, is this a district program or not? But technically, there's a collaborative element to it. So
Absolutely.
great.
Absolutely.
Appreciate what y'all are doing. That
Thank
was it.
you.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Yes.
I tell you, that just brought tears to my eyes. That is just seeing the joy and the happiness on those children's faces is just, I'm so proud. It's just, this is amazing what you're doing. And I appreciate you so much and your organization and how you're helping these kids. Thank you.
No, thank you. So that's a really brief snapshot of all the innovative grants that we filmed this year. There are 30-second snapshots of each of those grants that we'll be posting on our social media. So again, we invite you to join and like our NEEF page.
Oh, love to.
Okay.
Awesome.
Anybody else? No. Thank you. Yeah, I went to a lot of those grant giveaways, and it's just the excitement on the teachers' faces, the surprising. I mean, it's wonderful. Thank you. And thank you to all our, corporate donors and sponsors to help us raise all that money in order for us to be able to do all that. But welcome to Northeast. Thank you for being here, and thank you, Lilia, for being here and being vice chair this year.
Thank you. Good night.
I'm sorry. Oh. Okay, thank you. Item B, intruder detection audit by Texas School Safety Center. Dr. Micah.
Thank you, Madam President. As we discussed back in executive session, we did have 6 campuses get an audit since our last board meeting. 3 of those were clean audits. 3 had findings. As I discussed with you back there, those findings were resolved either the day of that it was found or the next day. That is your update.
Thank you. Item C, superintendent's report on district scorecard. Dr. Micah.
Yeah, I shouldn't have pushed my microphone away. So tonight, what we did is we brought to you a finalized district scorecard. So just as a reminder to everyone, if you'll take a look, you should have it in your packet. There are 5 columns. If you'll recall, the first 2 columns, priorities and objectives, were voted on and approved by the Board of Trustees, of course, with input from our community. The key actions, the progress measures, and the long-term outcomes were the work really that my cabinet had to do. And so what I want to do this evening is we're not going to go through bit by bit on this because, as you all well know, we are going to bring you quarterly reports that I want to talk to you all about on the timing and that cadence that we're going to be bringing Two, because one, I believe should happen our next meeting in January. So I just want to tell you how these items came to it. So once you all approve those first two columns, I'm sorry, I had to read my own writing, and it's bad. What we did first is the executive staff and myself met on a Monday, and we looked at those 13 objectives that you all identified and determined who it belonged to. So which division did it belong to, and then within that division, where did it belong in a department? So we first started there. Then what we did, or I did, is I invited Dr. Gibson back, if you'll recall. That is the gentleman that came in that helped you all work through the district scorecard process. I brought him in, and he met with my entire cabinet. So just so for those that do not know who cabinet is, that are the chiefs and every executive director. And in fact, we did invite a few directors in as well, just based on who needed to be in the room. Dr. Gibson and I spent about a little over an hour really talking about the purpose of the scorecard, why we chose it, the background of the work that he did with you all, and then talked generically about how to complete the scorecard. I will tell you that meeting went well, and they can echo, because I know several of the chiefs' people went out and started working on the scorecard on their own, and we had to hit the brakes because they were excited about it. But we said, look, don't start writing the scorecard for you yet as a department. We have to write the district scorecard first. So then I asked Dr. Gibson to come back and meet with each. Well, first he began the day with meeting with the executive staff, and then he met with them individually. Prior, though, to him meeting with them, what they had done is created a document basically with their best efforts with their teams about what this scorecard should look. So before Dr. Gibson came that day to meet with them, he had already looked at a draft. So then he met with them for about an hour, and then throughout the day, each chief and their executive directors went in and met with Dr. Gibson individually to review their piece of the district scorecard. Following me so far? Mm-hmm. Making sense? So based on that feedback then, those folks went back with their people and started to make changes to it. Tonight, of course, we're here, as I'd always told you, that we would bring it in December with you to the board. Just as a reminder, those first two columns y'all vote on, those next three you don't, because that's really the work that we're doing every day and trying to do. Now, I do want you to know that Ms. Chancellor and I and the other folks are going to sit down, because one is, how are we going to display this on our website? That follows as it evolves. So if you'll remember, so for instance, let me take you to, on this page, it is 2.3, all right? So if you go there to the progress measure, it says development of retention strategies to decrease employee turnover rate, all right? So, oh, was there something? I thought I missed something. Okay. I thought I heard something. So with that, of course, what you see there are the development. Well, that's obviously not where we're going to stop, but that is where we have to begin. So as that is accomplished, and that could be accomplished between now and your report, that may change in there to the next level of, now that we've developed them, now it's implementing them. Then it's about so forth. Do you see how it becomes? So what we're going to have to do is make certain that this is living and breathing, that as we're adjusting, as we meet certain things and we remove it, that it's transparent enough that, yes, that's removed, and that in that report you understand why we've removed it, because we've moved on to the next piece of the work. Is that making sense so far? All right. So what I want to visit with you all about, and just kind of present to you what I believe is the best cadence for this, because what I took a look at, and Mr. Hilliard, you and I have talked about, things that happen each month, and timing and pieces like that, right? So myself and executive staff really sat down and took a look at, so student, staff, stakeholders, and stewardship. Where does that make sense? Where does that fall naturally in our board meetings? And this is our very best thinking. January, we believe students should be the reporting. Why? Because that is the month that historically, and we will continue, that we report on the TAP R. That is really hindsight looking backwards for the last year on how we did academically, and that's kind of where it naturally fits because a lot of students is about academics. So what our plan is on our January board meeting is we will give you your first report on the district scorecard on where we're at. All right? So plan on that. That will be rather lengthy, and we will dive into, and you will, into all of 1. So 1.1 through 1.4, we will give you a pretty good piece in it. Now, just understand that this isn't stuff we're currently doing in all the cases. These are things that we're planning on doing. So this may be a little bit lighter than traditionally, but Mr. Jarrett and I have talked, and we'll bring you a pretty good presentation that night. So students falls in January. In April or May, we believe stewardship should come to you all. Why? That's budget season, right? So I say in April or May, Dan and I keep kind of talking because in May is when we bring you your first budget workshop. We've kind of been talking about this probably, it could be in the first budget workshop and we could just kind of alter it, or we could just take it out of that entirely and place it in April. So one of those 2 months, we're going to bring it to you. September would be when we would cover staff. Why? Well, because the new year has begun. We could take a look at our retention rates. We could give you updates on how we're doing with staffing, and that sort of naturally fits there. Stakeholders then would fall in December. Because why? Well, we don't want to jam 3 in one semester and 1 in the other. It just sort of fits in there. That'll give us a really good look. So I just bring all of this to you simply to say, one, it's complete at this point. Dr. Gibson was really good about giving us some really good feedback on making some adjustments. This is already leading the work. The next piece for us will be what are called cascading scorecards. So once this gets operationalized and we start working on it, then the next level will be brought down to those executive directors at the department level about how does this now look in their world. Make sense? So they'll take it from that. But we have to start at the macro level, and then we'll work downward. All right? So January, Mr. Jarrett's going to be ready, right?
January or February, depending on when TAP R comes out.
January? No. Right. I mean, at some point, and that's what I guess I need to tell you all is sometimes this is dependent on other folks. And so as soon as we have what we need to do, we're going to bring it. But those are those two, think students and stewardship in the spring, think about stakeholders and staff in the fall. And that just kind of makes a natural piece because, we really wanted it to make sense and to give it some time to start to work. All right, but, again, Dr. Gibson gave us some great feedback. He said we're definitely down the right track. We still have a little bit to learn, but I love the fact of when I walk through this building and even outside of this building at other places, people are talking about the scorecard. I've seen the 4 S's already in certain areas.
Good.
So people are starting to really embrace this. So I'm excited about what this is going to look like in a year from now, in 2 years from now, as everybody really sinks their teeth in getting it done. But I'm super proud of Cabinet and my executive staff for the work that they've done. Questions?
I've got one, I think. Thank you. This very good. I noticed, obviously, we're still early in the process, but I know part of the conversation we had through the development was those SMART objectives to include that. And I'm assuming as we get these reports, you're going to start developing specific objective criteria so we can see where we're moving.
Yes, sir.
For that baseline. That's next
so
step.
Dr. Gibson's advice was not to embed it in this, but when we bring it in, we will give you those metrics right in those reports.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, just so we know the benchmark and we can see how we're
Yes,
tracking
sir.
year over year.
Just so think anytime we bring to you student data, we bring you here's where we were. So I'm just thinking back to when Alicia presented, she gave you like this very longitudinal, that's what we're going to show you is here's how things are moving. So either it's moving or it's not moving.
And then same with the staff data, retention
Yes,
rates
sir.
compared, all that.
Yes, sir.
So that'll be in the actual report.
I mean, that is where
Okay.
we're going to dive deep into it and really get you into the weeds of the stuff that we're dealing with every day.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That was my one question.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else? questions or comments? Okay. Good job on this. I mean, I know staff has worked hard to get this, and I really wasn't sure that it would be done by the end of the year, but so kudos. Kudos. Kudos to everyone involved in making this happen. And I look forward to January or February. Item 10, Board Business A, discussion and possible action to appoint School Health Advisory Council member to fill vacancy. You all have a list of what that what that switch is. Do I have a motion to approve the new membership list as presented?
Madam President, I have an amendment to it. We had an email on the 18th. One of the non-profit reps said they're no longer the nonprofit. We all got the email on the 18th. The first person, Ms. Juarez, said she's no longer that nonprofit, so she to be removed from there. So we'd need to, I would say, amend that part of the list as well, in addition to the new addition.
Okay.
We all received that from Mrs. Turner.
Yes, I think that I'll check with Ms. Aguilar, because I was thinking that there was going to be another person from that council that was going to replace Ms. Juarez. So so for now, we will remove Ms. Juarez's name. That was the one, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we're adding Cogswell and we're taking off Juarez for now.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Landry. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hilliard. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Item 11, new business for possible board action. A, instruction and campus administration. 1, possible action to authorize superintendent to post proposed renewed District of Innovation plan and notify the Texas Education Agency of proposed renewed District of Innovation plan. Mr. Jarrett.
Thank you, Madam President, Dr. Micah, members of the board, executive staff, and guests. I'd like to ask Dr. Esmeralda Munoz to come forward for this agenda item.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President, board members, Dr. Micah, executive staff, and guests. Tonight we bring you the District of Innovation renewal. Tonight for the 23 school year. If approved, we would only submit information to the commissioner stating that we plan to renew, and that could be for the duration of the 5 years. So essentially, the DOI is a concept passed in 2015, and that was through House Bill 1842, which basically states that traditional independent school districts would have the flexibility that open charter schools currently have. In order for a school district to access those flexibilities, we would have to adopt an innovation plan through Chapter 12A. A DOI also gives local control to the district. Districts are able to customize certain components of that plan to meet their needs. It does give the district the autonomy to be able to have that flexibility of maybe specific components that are listed, and it does give you the flexibility to be able to say that there are similar practices as charter schools currently have, with the exemptions or certain exemptions to those mandates. So the current NEISD exemptions that we have at the end of this school year are no longer valid because we have a period of 5 years to be able to have this current plan, and that is for students to have a calendar uniform start date, and then for teacher certifications in high areas of need to be able to get hired without certification in certain areas, and then to be able to earn that certification through human resources requirements. So in order for a district to renew the DOI plan, we need to have a majority vote of the District Advisory Committee. So back in November, we presented this information to the DEIC. They were able to look through the information, and then we brought it back to DEIC this past month, and we received the 2/3 majority vote from DEIC. After DEIC, that public meeting, we're then able to bring it to you so that way you can review if we want to move forward with renewing the current exemptions that we have under DOI. And then we would have to post after this meeting that we intend to renew that plan if approved. So we also put together a timeline that started back in November. So we had our DOI presentation, and it was the potential to renew that same exemption under DOI. We didn't receive any questions at that time. We then took the information to our joint principals meeting on November 10th, and we explained that we did have the opportunity for our community to also participate in virtual town halls, which took place on November 15th and November 17th. We didn't receive any questions from JPM or the town halls as well. We then brought it to our DEIC for the DOI. I guess maybe after they digested the information, then if they would approve those 2 exemptions that we were going through. And then pending tonight's approval, then we would post the renewal plan on our district website for 30 days until January 13th. And then pending that final approval, after we go through that 30-day window, then we would move forward, and it would be from the year 2023 through 2028. At any point in time, we can come back and amend if there is a need for an amendment at any point. Again, we know that there are changes that are coming quicker than we know how to navigate in some cases, and so if there is an exemption that we are interested in navigating through, then definitely we would be able to provide that information to you. So the uniform start date is the first day of instruction, and currently as a DOI district, we're able to start before the 4th Monday of August. If we are not a DOI, that would push us all the way down to the 4th Monday in August, which would be a start date of August 28th, which is that Monday. Because we are at 180 days for our calendar, that would push us all the way to June 14th to be able to end at that 180 days. As a DOI district, we're able to then start before that 4th Monday in August. For teacher certifications in high need areas, we do have our career and tech education, so we do have our industry folks who are able to come in and teach. There is a waiver that they are able to sit as a classroom teacher because of the industry experience, and they're able to earn teacher salary, but they are also guided by HR to be able to earn that certification with a 2-year grace period, so they receive the preparation that they need for that particular certification. Same thing comes in with the world languages as well. So that basically just states that TEC, in addition to that a person cannot hold that certification, but through DOI, we can go ahead and allow for this person to hold that teacher post, and then they go through the process through the HR department. So here we have our, again, just to renew our current exemptions. We're not adding or changing anything. We are not trying to add any other exemptions other than the 2 that were initially started back in 2018, which is the calendar uniform start date and the teacher certifications for those 2 high need areas. Are there any questions?
Does anyone have any questions?
I've got a couple questions, if you don't mind, Madam President. Do you mind going back to the DOI calendar timeline, please?
Sure.
Thanks. For the town halls, how many people, parents or staff, dialed in? Do we have an approximate number of how many people actually were involved in that?
So we sent out that memo to principals to share with their communities. We also had it on Facebook, and unfortunately, we only had 2 individuals join the first one, and we had 1 individual join the second.
Okay, because that was my concern, because the next piece was the communication piece, because as a parent, I got one the 14th of November at 6:30 at night. You know, and we're already into any family given week, so the timing and that strategic perspective kind of precluded a lot of people. And then I saw one that was buried in another parent email. I don't want to say buried. It was in the middle, but it was one sentence, but I don't think people realize how much this impacts, particularly it's the calendar piece that we know there was a lot of conversation this last year from both staff and parents about the early start. So I guess the other question would be is, tying back to our district scorecard, we've got some time before we see that January meeting. Is there intent to go out to the staff and the parents and say, this is what we're looking at for calendars, so they can provide feedback so the DIC can do that? Is that all part of the plan?
So this is just part of the initial process. So we front-loaded a lot of communication, so that way you were informed about where people were at and the feeling of, should we renew the DOI? So this is only thing we're saying here is that we're needing to inform the commissioner that we're considering a DOI calendar. Once you guys approve or don't, whichever decision you make tonight, if you decide to approve for us to move forward with it, essentially what we would do is notify the commissioner, we would post for 30 days, and then we would develop the calendar and get feedback from parents, teachers, and everybody else. So all this does is give us flexibility. So we can still start the 4th Monday of August if we choose to. DOI just gives us the agility to choose what fits our district the best. That's essentially what it is, not the calendar itself.
Understood, and I agree with that. It was just the calendar was a big discussion point last year with the extremely early start, UIL activities. And I think if we can get that communication out early to the parents and the staff, they may understand that there was also some.
Yeah, Mr. Hilliard, if you all give us permission to notify the commissioner of our intent, Mr. Jarrett has a plan in place to get a lot of feedback prior to the calendar coming in January from our community, as well as teachers, staff, and those folks.
Awesome.
But I can tell you, we heard loud and clear about the start date. Here's something I do want to just mention, if you don't mind, because I think this is something that gets lost in it. I know a lot of people talk about 180. 180 is nothing to do with DOI, all right? But I just want you to understand, do you know the number of days different between a traditional calendar and and a 180? It's 3 days. All right? 3 days. So I just want you all to know, I think it's good for as you're thinking about these things. We actually put a pen and paper and looked at the dollars that come with those 3 days because remember, because you're 180, you then collect half-day ADA for every elementary age child that we work on in the summer for 30 days. Mr. Villarreal, that number's like 1.2 million, I believe, for those 3 extra days. Just so you know. I just, that's good information, I think, for you all to think about because we really did. We wanted to know, like, what do you get, right? But I think what struck me as we were sitting and visiting about it is it's 3 days. These are 3 days. But I think what you said is we heard it really clear. Too early.
That was it. No, the plan, I understand the reason for the DOI piece. It was just the calendar was a big discussion, obviously, in the community. So that's it. Thanks, Madam President.
Okay. Did you have something, Mr. Bauer?
I did have a question to the town hall meetings, or actually to the DEIC. What was actually presented to those folks, like at the town hall meetings for the couple of people that tuned in?
Pretty much the same presentation you guys are getting is
Okay.
informing the community about what DOI is,
Got it.
letting them know what the renewal process that we go through, and then the items that we were considering. So really just being transparent about what DOI is what those were. We did those virtual because we know we have working families, but we did want to open up that opportunity to have dialogue with the community. So that's why we did that.
Okay. Thank you. I'm just curious.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? No? Okay, so do I have a motion to authorize the superintendent to post proposed renewed District of Innovation plan and notify the Texas Education Agency of proposed renewed District of Innovation plan?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Byer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Villarreal. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Munoz. Item B, consent. 1, business services. A, 791 purchasing cooperative. B, bid items. C, 50,000 purchases. 2, operations. A, ESSER 3 district unit, ventilator and energy recovery unit, HVAC replacement project, Cerna Elementary School bid package. D, bid award approval. 3, minutes from November 2022. 4, end of consent. Do I have a board member wishing to pull an item from consent?
Madam President, can I just pull 11B1A, please, the 791 Purchasing Cooperative?
B1A. Okay. Does anybody else have anything? All right. So do I have a motion to approve consent without B1A?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hilliard. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Byer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Okay. Mr. Hilliard.
I just want to confirm, when reading the term, this is a new 10-year cooperative agreement. This is my first time seeing this one, but we're just re-upping the 791, but it's a 10-year time frame agreement. Is that correct?
It's our first time joining 791.
Oh, it's our first time joining, okay. So this is new then, totally,
Right.
okay.
Completely new cooperative.
Okay, we've been in other cooperatives, though, right?
Yes,
Wait,
we belong.
So this is the new one then, okay.
Just more options for us to purchase.
Okay, and it doesn't cost us anything, it's just be able to get access to the bulk buying power.
Correct.
Okay, but it's a new one. I just wanted to make sure I knew that. That was my only question. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve 11B1A?
So moved, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Hilliard. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Villarreal. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item 12, reports. A, interim financial and management reports. B, awarded bid report. C, donations. Those have been provided for you. Item,
Madam President, sorry to
I'm
interrupt.
sorry.
No, gosh. On donations, and correct me if I'm wrong, I thought previously we put that in consent, we actually had to accept the donations. Is that, am I mistaken? I thought like a year ago, we put in consent and accepted it, or has it always just been a report? I can't,
I think it's always.
okay. I just thought we approved it in consent the last time a while ago, though.
We did used to approve it in consent.
Okay, so we didn't move on.
During our review of board policy, we realized that that is not how it is written. And so the superintendent accepts the donations, and so we're reporting them to you.
Okay, so we used to do that. I wasn't, okay. I just want to make sure, because I was surprised to see it
Yes.
down there. Okay.
So I think this is like the second time we've put it in reports, but yes, it is a change, and it's all due to that great review we've done of our policies.
Okay. That was my question.
Thank you, Susie.
And Madam President, the only other question is, the only thing I don't see listed on the reports that we get now routinely is the monthly open records request. Do we need to list that as well, since we received that as a board? We started that back in the spring, and Mrs. Huey requested, since that's a report that we, the board, receive every meeting. I don't know if that needs to be listed and discussed, since that's ongoing. I don't know.
I don't know.
May I ask legal counsel that?
Yeah, absolutely. Since it's an ongoing thing
good
that
question.
we decide as a board to
Yeah,
receive.
so make note of that, Peggy, for me, and I'll speak to council tomorrow to see if that should be listed, since that's now included in your packet each month. Yeah.
That's it. Thanks, Madam President. Thank you, Dr. Maya.
Okay. Item 13, discussion and possible action regarding board members' requests for items to be placed on a future agenda and our request for reports from the administration. Does anyone have anything? All right, item.
I
four-
have
oh,
something, I'm not
sorry.
sure how this works, but it's my understanding that we're supposed to be receiving some sort of a report from Mr. Lopez quarterly. And I don't know if I maybe stepped out somewhere and just didn't know what was going on, but is this something?
A report? for
My
some sort of-
understanding is, if anybody remembers this differently, that it's sort of like the open records request, that we would get a report of trustees that had contacted the legal.
Individual
team.
individual
correct.
request, he was going to report to us
And I-
quarterly if there was
and I
any
guess-
individual request for legal advice or legal.
So I think if there's no report, then there's been
And
no.
we haven't got anything. So if we
individual.
need to have him provide something saying nobody has
Okay,
contacted us.
well, if no one's done anything, then I
So
was
that-
just,
You are correct, we are supposed to get,
Okay.
but based on individual inquiries with
It's in the board
Mr. Lopez.
policy.
Yes, he let us all know, so we all have the same information.
okay, I was just verifying,
Yeah.
so.
Is it an operating? Okay, anything else on that? No? We could, so, follow up.
I'll go ahead and ask Ms. Villarreal your question, if there's something there. Okay?
Okay, I was just,
Yeah, no.
just curious.
And that
Yeah.
way then, I mean, look, I do not bring legal counsel every board meeting unless there's something there, because,
It's
well,
just expensive.
correct, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna pay him, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So that is a change. Again, that's
That's a change.
stewardship. You know, but, so let me ask, and I'll get with you.
No, I respect that.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't, yeah,
Well, I
we
mean,
don't want to pay if we
I
don't have
wanna-
to.
Right, I just don't. I'm a penny pincher.
Okay, item 14, can I say item 14 now? Adjournment, and the time is 7:18. Merry Christmas, everyone. Enjoy your break.